They call it the People's Open on the PGA Tour, and you can guarantee the bets will be flowing this week at TPC Scottsdale. You need all the up-to-date information, and we are going to do that on the Golfbet Roundtable. How do you bet Scottie Scheffler? Historic odds. We've got a little niche there. Brooks Koepka back on the tour. How would you best bet him this week? The 16th hole, always a fan favorite. We have the numbers to show you from DraftKings Sportsbook this week at TPC Scottsdale, and that's where we sit here. Chris Brees and Will Gray on the Golfbet Roundtable, giving you all the information you need from the sportsbook at the People's Open.
Chris, it's a little quiet here. We're a few hundred yards from the 18th green at TPC Scottsdale. It will not be very quiet this week. There's a lot of action, whether you're talking about the WM Phoenix Open, you're talking about the Super Bowl, plenty of kiosks behind us that I'm sure will take a lot of action. But it all starts right with Scottie Scheffler. He's not the defending champ, but he might as well be. The last time we were here, we were talking Scottie over-under wins for the 2026 season, and here we are in early February. He's already got one on the board.
That was 2 months ago. We were all taking the under on 5.5 on Scottie Scheffler victories in 2026.
And we felt good about it.
We felt good about it, and it's not over, but let's just live in a world where we assume Scottie is just going to win half the tournaments he plays. And if you don't want to bet him outright at plus 220, plus 225 this week, how do you bet Scottie Scheffler at the WM Phoenix Open? It's the question. We think we found a market for you, and it's in that first round.
Yeah, I think the key for me when attacking Scheffler is going to be going out early, especially on a course where he has played so well before, a two-time winner here at the Stadium course at TPC Scottsdale. But Chris, we're entering this realm where I do think the Scottie and Tiger comparisons are legit because, I mean, we're not going to see probably north of 4-1 on Scottie Scheffler for an outright, barring injury or crazy slump this year. So you're going into these events and you're seeing plus 210, plus 230, plus 270 for an outright price on Scottie, and your instinct is to push away because it's hard to find the value there, but then he keeps racking up the trophies with such frequency. It does lead you to try and find a little bit of a different approach.
So what you could do here is look at Scheffler in that first round, because if you want to do the math, you're getting about 3 times the odds of what you would get Scheffler betting him total tournament. You want Scheffler to lead after the first round. Okay, well, you can get that pretty good for him at plus 1050 to lead after the first round. Top 5 plus 290. Top 10 is still plus money at plus 144. Now, you take that for the tournament, you're still going to be well into the minus money of Scheffler for a top 10. What do you like this week for Scottie Scheffler?
A couple of things we need to realize. First of all, this was his worst finish all year. Last year was at the WM Phoenix Open. It was the outlier of outliers, and he still finished inside the top 25. So take that with a grain of salt. But also, Scottie isn't necessarily a fast starter historically, but he's getting faster out of the gates in recent months, including a couple weeks ago at the American Express, where he was leading the tournament after 36 holes, ran away from the field in La Quinta. So I do feel like, while I'm not going to back him at 10-1 for first round leader, I think you look at that Scheffler top 10 after round 1 plus 144. I'm approaching the odds I'm going to get for him to win the tournament entirely, but I could absolutely, in ideal conditions, we'll talk about that more in a little bit, but we're going to have, Chamber of Commerce weather all week, not a lot of wind. I could see Scottie going out and put up a 65 or a 66 that's going to land him in the top 10 come Thursday night.
If you're going to get plus money on Scottie Scheffler for anything, you should probably take it. What I actually like on Scheffler, it's not a plus money bet. It's pretty close. In that Group A here this week at the Phoenix Open, I got him at minus 165 in that group. He's got to beat 4 players. Xander Schauffele, we don't know about his game right now. 72 straight cuts made, was gone last week at the Farmers. Hideki Matsuyama hasn't been as good here the last 5 years as he was a decade ago when he won back-to-back. Cam Young and Sam Burns. He has to beat 4 players. I got a 4-player stretch there he's got to beat. Yes, it's minus money, but it's only minus 165. If I'm not going to bet Scottie first round, which I love betting Scottie top 10 plus 144 first round. It's a great bet. If I'm going to look outside that, I like minus 165 to beat 4 players.
You're not worried about a revenge factor from Xander?
I'm not.
Starting a new streak, another 72 in a row. I mean, it was an off week for him for sure last week at Tour, but he's the one that I would think could give Scottie, out of those 4 guys, the biggest run for his money, and we'll see how it all plays out.
So this course at TPC Scottsdale, it's so unique because you can predict history here. It's one of the top 5 courses on tour where history at the course matters. Now, we get stuck in this every single week of, well, this guy played well here last year, he must do well. Last couple of years, he's played well. That's not really the case at a lot of courses. At this one, it is. Now, what is it about TPC Scottsdale where the same type of players continue to play well each year?
I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with the bones of the course. You've got the desert layout, you've got water on 5 or 6 holes. The finishing stretch, 15 to 18, is very high variance. I do also think you have to deal with the outside the ropes stuff of the People's Open, right? This is not your usual PGA Tour event. It's going to get loud out on 16 and into 17. A lot of guys like that, can embrace it, the showmanship of the WM Phoenix Open, and other guys, it's not quite as big of a fit. But if you look back over the last, 10, 11 years, you go back to Koepka's first win in 2015, we have 2 wins from Matsuyama, 2 wins from Koepka, 2 wins from Scheffler. That's 6 out of the last 10 or 11 years. So it is a course beyond just the multiple champions. You have players that finish inside the top 10, the top 20. You look at guys like Jordan Spieth that have played well here before and so on, that you get that positive momentum of how to deal with this course. It's a bit of a slower start when you go out into the desert on that front 9, and then things really ramp up a lot when you get into the back 9 around that difficult stretch, 11 and 12 into the finishing 4 holes. So for me, it's between the ears. You have to be able to embrace everything that's going to be going on this course at this event. You've got the fans are super involved. You got guys wearing football jerseys on the 16th hole and hitting tee shots, and that's, a lot of people can view that as fun and engaging. Other people, it might not fit as well with their week to week, but we have seen, Chris, it's not quite the correlation we have with Augusta and the Masters, but man, it's in the top 3, 4, 5 courses of, if you've played well here before, you're probably going to play well here again. And on the flip side, if you haven't played well here, this is probably not the week that you want to back someone to flip the switch.
So if history matters here, we really got to talk about the first round, because what happens in the first round kind of dictates what the leader does the rest of the week. Check this out. 7 of the last 10 winners at TPC Scottsdale were inside the top 10 after the first round. 5 of them were inside the top 5. 3 of them were leading after the first round. In fact, only the RSM Classic has more players who led after the first round and also went on to win the event. They had 4, Scottsdale's got 3. So what that means is, if you're picking somebody to win this event, whether it's Scottie Scheffler or somebody else, it's overwhelmingly likely that he is going to be inside that top 10. Why do you think that is? The fact that they're starting fast, but it's tough for guys to catch up. What's the factor there?
This is a course where you can play defense. It's a par 71, 3 par 5s that everyone's going to feast on, 3, 13, and 15. You got to make your hay there. But going out on Saturday or Sunday in the lead or around the lead, it's easy to shoot, relatively easy, I haven't done it yet, but it's easy to shoot a 68 or a 69 on a par 71 layout, but you get in trouble by trying to force a 65. And when you go after shots, especially on 15, going for the green in 2, you get a little too aggressive around the water. On 17, you start firing at pins that maybe you shouldn't be firing at across those first 10 or 12 holes. That's where things can go sideways. But if you're going out and saying, hey, I know I have a lead to protect, and I just need to kind of hold serve, this is a course where you can do it pretty effectively, and then you wait for the chase pack and say, all right, you guys go out and try and find a way to beat me.
So our leader is probably going to be near the top after the first round. What about where the winners are gaining their strokes at TPC Scottsdale? It is a typical TPC course. It is irons and it is putting. You look at the last 10 years at Scottsdale, 38.5% of the winners' strokes gained were on the approach, 22.5 were putting on the green, and about 21.5 were off the tee, which means around the green and scrambling is not nearly as important as your iron play and your putting play at TPC Scottsdale. That's why Scottie Scheffler has won here twice, Hideki Matsuyama has won here twice. What is it about Scottsdale where the iron play is so paramount this week?
Big greens and segmented greens. It's tough sometimes to get pin high, and that is so key. That's the calling card of Scottie Scheffler's game, is he can put it pin high 20 feet away from 50 yards, from 250, it doesn't really matter. And this is a course where that really tends to come into play, especially in some of the longer par 4s. You think about the par 4 17th that plays a little bit like a par 3.5. Finding the right quadrant, the right section of that green is of such importance that you have to create makeable birdie putts. You can't be expecting to, 2-putt from 80 or 90 feet, which we see comes into play on some of these larger greens. You go out to, 13 and as well as definitely one of the bigger ones. So it is about control and precision with the irons. You say that, as you said, it's a key for a lot of courses, but this week especially, you don't have the room to gain as much off the tee. You certainly don't have the room to gain around the greens. It's pretty standard when you're talking about scrambling and chipping opportunities. A lot of guys are going to be roughly about the same with their short game, but where it's going to be a differentiator is what do you do out of the fairway, and then what do you do with your 5, 10, 20-foot putts.
Variety of tees, variety of pin placements on every green, and specifically on the 16th green at the WM Phoenix Open. Everybody knows this iconic hole. The fans are lining up 4 or 5 a.m. to rush to get to that grandstand spot. Some players embrace it, some don't. You can't leave Scottsdale without betting on the 16th hole, and DraftKings has tons of markets for you to take advantage of this week. We're going to go through 3 of them in specific, Will. Let's start with round 1 birdies or better. The average over-under, about plus money, even money, is going to be 16.5 on round 1 birdies. 17.5 will give you plus money at plus 106. You can go up to 21.5 at plus 345. The last 5 years here matters on this. Birdies or better since 2021 has been all over the place. I'm hesitant to look at any of these markets, but is there anything that catches your eye on this?
This is going to be a fun talking point. It's a fun bet to make all week with your buddies. It's definitely going to be a key point of analysis for us on the ESPN BetCast with DraftKings on PGA Tour Live. This is the first one of the year that we're going to be kicking off wall-to-wall coverage around full day of events and this week's tournament. But I think you got to look at the pin placement.
Right.
You got to look at the tee on 16. And so that's where you go in overnight. What is the over-under going to be set at? Because these odds makers need to move it based on where that pin is going to be. If they're playing it back and you've got that back middle pin position, 16 is going to play as hard as it can all week long. And if they move the pin up in conjunction with that front left pin position where we've seen, there's not a ton of aces, but we've seen a few in recent years, that's where you can really try and hammer the over if they don't adjust it enough. Again, remember, weather conditions are going to be ideal this week. It's going to be 75, 80 degrees, not a breath of air. That's not going to be a factor like we have seen a couple times in recent years where it's been windy or rainy. You can take that one off the board. So now it's really about, you've got a 9-iron, a pitching wedge in your hand, and what are you going to be able to do into that green and with that environment. So it's definitely one that I'm going to study where the pin is and where the tee is and understand what kind of a challenge that the competitions group is putting in front of the players to then say, all right, how do I need to adjust that handicap for how many birdies I'm expecting? I know we were talking about this before we started filming, but the other piece is the reduction in field. This was a 132-man field last year. It's a 123-man field this year. So we have to take that into account when looking at historical stats. You're going to have 9 fewer opportunities each day, Thursday and Friday, for guys to either hit the green or make a birdie.
Just to tell you how diabolical the hole is, we've seen as few as 11 birdies in the last 5 years and as many as 29.
Yeah.
So if you really want to bet that market, make sure you're doing your research. Where is the pin? How far is the distance? 150, it's been great. 175, it's been an issue. Let's look at the next market here on the 16th hole. We're looking at round 1, greens in regulation is a lot like the birdies. It is all over the map. The average about even money is going to be 83.5 to 86.5. Will get you plus 124. You can go as many as 101.5. Over that will give you 10 to 1 if you want to bet it. The last 5 years here, again, all over the place. We've seen as little as 73 greens in regulation. We've seen as many as 94 greens in regulation. It's a big green, but I wonder how much of that has to do with guys firing at the pin or just trying to hit the green.
Yeah, I mean, that's where, when you get that front left pin and that bunker comes into play, there's that little collection area off in the left where then it's a very thin margin for, is the ball going to stay on the green versus is it going to go down that swale and off the green. If you have that back middle pin, which is harder for birdies, I think your greens and regulation number is going to go up because guys are going to be playing just short of it into the middle of the green. So again, it depends on what market you're going to attack this week at DraftKings Sportsbook and how you want to take this information into account, because what might lead you to an over for the birdie or better market might not be the same information that you lean for an over on the GIR.
86.5 plus 124. It's only been under 86 one time in the last 5 years. And we can't stop this segment without hole-in-ones on number 16. It doesn't happen as often as you think, only 12 times in 37 years, but it did happen last year with Emiliano Grillo, happened twice in 2022. in the first round alone is when you usually don't see it. That's why this number is so high at 15-1 for a hole-in-one in the first round on 16. But if you want to go all 4 days, yes, plus 280, no, minus 370. It's a fun bet. It's not one that I think I would take just because of how frequently it happens. It's not a lot.
You're telling me that it's more likely Scottie Scheffler wins this golf tournament than someone makes an ace on 16?
I think so.
That's what the odds are telling us.
It is.
That's a world we're living in. I mean, I think I agree with you. It's a fun bet. You don't want to be laying the minus 400 almost on the no and trying to figure that out. But I agree. If it's going to happen, you're probably getting out past Thursday. You're looking at Friday, Saturday. Sunday can get a little tricky. But, put a little sprinkle on it so it doesn't hurt, and give yourself something to root for, especially if you're out here, out in the crowds, out on 16. There's nothing like when that place goes crazy for a hole-in-one. You hear it across the course. You can be on the front nine and you know exactly what happens. So it's a fun moment.
The aura of that hole is a make or break for a lot of players. Some guys relish in it. One of them is Brooks Koepka. He's back on the PGA Tour for moments like this. Playing at the WM Phoenix Open, we know Brooks' history. He's won twice. He won a decade ago. He won a couple of years ago in 2021. You want to bet on Brooks this week? Here's what we're looking at. And I'm going to take you back to what you were talking about in that first round with Scottie Scheffler. I think there might be something here in betting on Brooks in the first round versus the overall tournament. Because if you want to compare them side to side, top 5 for the tournament, top 10 for the tournament, top 20, and then look at round 1 for those same markets, you're going to get almost double your money for the first round. This is where Will and I are going to disagree. I think Brooks Koepka this week is going to play well early. Getting 4 straight rounds under his belt last week, I think, is massive. He's playing more golf now, not waiting 3 to 4 weeks to play like he was on the LIV Tour. I think he certainly is feeling the momentum from last week, feeling good about it. I'm expecting something good out of Brooks Koepka this week early on. I'm going to take Brooks Koepka top 10 in the first round at plus 270. That's the best bet to me right now.
And what's my price for top 10 for the full tournament?
For this full tournament is top 10 is going to be 10 or 20?
10.
Top 10 is going to be plus 380.
All right, give me that. Because
top 10 plus 380.
Yes, you can have him on Thursday. I'll take him on Sunday because I think whether or not he gets off to a hot start, I'm buying Koepka stock this week. I know both of us were a little bit hesitant last week at the Farmers Insurance Open. It went about as we expected. He was solid but not spectacular. Dead last in putting on those POA greens. Really struggled with the putter, especially with that short 3-putt at the end of his third round. But I think that this week, he's going to get back on the right side of things with the putter, and I love what I saw out of him tee to green. He was 11th in strokes gained tee to green last week at Torrey Pines, and that is what you need. And so I think that Koepka is in a great position to get back on a course where he has won twice before, is feeling comfortable. He deals with the desert vibes very well. He understands the aura and everything that's going on around the 16th hole. And I'm going to throw you one more, just from a little bit of the vibes index. 11 years since the Pats and the Seahawks played in the Super Bowl. Who won the WM Phoenix Open that year? Brooks Koepka, 2015. Just saying.
And Koepka mentioned it himself on a broadcast a couple of days ago. He spent 4 hours at the Scotty Cameron putting facility last week trying to figure out his putter on Sunday. And
I think he'll get there. Yeah, I think he'll get there. And I'm much more interested in backing him when the tee to green game is in form and on song, and hoping that the putter comes around as opposed to if the ball striking is off and he has a hot putter that may have inflated the result last week or two.
Koepka's history here is great. Scheffler's history here is great. We're going to go rapid fire through 4 more players who you may want to bet on this week who have had really good results at TPC Scottsdale in the past. But here's the thing about each of these 4 guys. They've been up and down for the last year and really up and down at this course. Specifically, Hideki Matsuyama, who won twice here a decade ago. But he has not been inside the top 20 here more than once in the last 5 years. I'm going to give you top 5 plus 530, top 10 plus 250, top 20 plus 112. Do you like any of those on Hideki Matsuyama?
I will tell you to go fish. I agree with you. The variance on Hideki is a little bit too much for me to look to back him, especially in a week where it's going to be top heavy between Scottie and Xander and Koepka. There's a lot of good choices up near the top of the board in terms of the top 8 or 10 players that I would look to back a little bit more aggressively than a Hideki top finish market.
I wouldn't go better in top 20, but I think for plus 112, I wouldn't want to touch that either. Then you got Xander Schauffele. We talked about the 72 made cuts in a row, is now gone at Farmers last week when he missed the cut. Another player who has played well here, but here's his caveat. He hasn't played here in a couple of years. 2023 was his last time, but He had a T3, a T2, and a T10 his last 3 events here. Xander, not in form, but great course history. His numbers, top 5 plus 420, top 10 plus 205, top 20's minus money at minus 106.
I'm going top 10. Give me 2-1 on a top 10. I know that you and I are disagreeing on Xander in terms of the impact of last week. I think that that's going to act as a little bit of a motivator. He's had a couple of close calls at this event specifically, as you mentioned, one especially that got away from him down the stretch. So I think this is one where he has no problem letting Scottie and Koepka take the spotlight a little bit, and he can lean on his game come Saturday and Sunday.
I'll go fish on Xander. I'm really torn on going fish on our next guy. Jordan Spieth has not had a top 15 finish since the Memorial. That was a long, long time ago. He played decent at the Sony Open in Hawaii, T24, his only event so far in 2026. But look at this guy's record at TPC Scottsdale. You want to talk about history? T4 twice, T6 twice, all of that in the last 4 years. Here's Spieth's odds. These are way juicier than the first 2 guys we told you about. Top 5 plus 1025, top 10 plus 465. I like top 20 for Jordan Spieth at plus 200. You're going to give me 2-1 for a player as diabolical as Spieth is, but has played so well here, and he relishes the moments at TPC Scottsdale. That's why I like him this week. Good enough at Sony. I don't care that he's been that great the last couple of years. Give me 2-1 top 20. How do you not like that?
I do like it. I would love to find like a Jordan Spieth under 64.5 for any single round prop, if that would exist with our friends at DK, because I think he's going to go really low once. I don't know that he's going to have the staying power and the consistency to keep it up inside those top 10 and top 20 markets. As you mentioned, the consistency has really been the factor that has dropped those T7 and T8 results back into T24s and T28s over the last 12 to 15 months. Spieth had a lot of great comments to our Paul Hodowanik at PGATour.com when they talked at the Hero about he feels like he's a new man. The injury is behind him. He's trying to really put the right step forward this year. So I have reason to lean into it and believe him. And this is a course where he has such great history before. So I would go for that top 20, but I'm much more expecting a week from Spieth that includes one really good round, and then the question is, can he keep the other 3 outside of the, a 71 or 72 that's really going to slow him down this week?
Good luck guessing that 64, by the way.
I just need it once. I don't need to know when it's going to be, but it's going to be there at some point.
Last guy here, Sahith Theegala, who everyone has come to love because of what's happened at the Phoenix Open in the past. He kind of made his name at the Phoenix Open a couple of years ago, but the way he played the last 2 years has been very forgettable. However, Sahith is quietly making his way back at the top of leaderboards. T31 at Sony, T8 at Amex, T7 at Farmers. He had missed 4 straight cuts to end the 2025 summer season, but here he is again. Of course, again, great course history. 4 times here, 2 top 5s, but also 2 outside the top 30. So he's juicy just like Spieth for that reason. A top 5 plus 1050, a top 10 plus 470, a top 20 plus 205.
I'm willing to go in the top 5, top 10. I love the high variance option like Theegala, someone that has a high floor and maybe a lower ceiling. I'm willing to take a shot on a top 5 or top 10, knowing that a miscut is possible. But if things really click like they have for the last few weeks for Theegala, he's going to be in contention again, as we saw both at Amex and then at Farmers last week. It feels like, Chris, as fast as his game fell off, and that was somewhat injury related, that's how quickly he's bounced back. And so it's really promising to see such a fast start to the year. I know there were a couple of guys, Ryan Gerard's off to a great start. Pearson Coody is a really good sleeper option, I think, this week as someone who has gotten 3 straight top 20s to start the year. But Theegala is in that mix as well of guys that are just going all gas, no brakes to start 2026. Now he finds himself back on a course where he's played well before. A lot to like about Sahith this week.
At this moment, with so few red flags in his game here, his game recently, if you can give us almost 5-1 for a top 10, that's about as much as you can ask for from a guy like Sahith Theegala, who plays so well here. We can't end the show without who we think's going to win. Whether you want to do the Scottie Scheffler with or without market, we'll talk about that. Winner at the WM Phoenix Open. I know there's one guy who you think's been knocking at the door. Is it going to be his week?
We'll go with the non-Scottie division. And like you said, we can talk about, as you approach the Scheffler markets, do you just take him out of the mix? Do you go for a without Scheffler market that's going to knock things down on the price a little bit? You have Xander at plus 1450 instead of plus 1900 as your betting favorite. I would go and take my chances with this pick. I will leave Scottie Scheffler in the mix. I will tempt fate and take Maverick McNeely as my guy this week, who I thought was really in a good spot to shine last week at the Farmers Insurance Open. Finished 10th. Now he's coming back around to a course where he's been T8 and T9 each of the last 2 years. That second win for Mav is coming soon. I think it could be this week, and I love how the odds are getting a little bit inflated based on Scheffler having his thumb on the scale at nearly 2-1 as a favorite. The numbers and the prices on everyone else has to go up in accordance, and so that's what we're seeing with even some of the top guys like McNeely.
I am going to go out on a limb here and pick my boy Siwoo Kim, who I usually have such problems with Siwoo Kim's consistency. Good luck betting him anywhere on the PGA Tour because you have no idea what's going to happen. Is this the best stretch of 4 or 5 months that we've ever seen from Siwoo Kim? The guy has been a top 10 machine since what, back to Wyndham, we were saying a couple of hours ago. The fact that he has 3 straight solid performances, something that you never see from Siwoo Kim on the PGA Tour, I am sold on that. With or without Scottie, he's plus 2,700 with Scottie, plus 2,100 without Scottie. I agree with you. Just take the plus 2,700. If he's going to play well, he's going to play well. Siwoo Kim, though he does not have the it factor at this course historically, like some of these guys, he hasn't been bad. It's not a red flag thinking that Siwoo can't play well here. He can. I think Siwoo is the kind of player, if he's hot, you ride him. If he's not, you don't. Right now, Siwoo Kim is hot, and I'm willing to do the 27-1 for him to win this event.
Listen, I love you're going head first into it. We're gonna see what happens. I agree. What we've seen from Siwoo going back to that T4 at the RSM to end last season into this year has been really strong. And as you mentioned, after he missed 3 or 4 straight missed cuts early or at the end of the regular season last year, leading into the Wyndham, and since then he has been so solid for sure.
The players will duke it out on the course. The fans will be out in the venue here at TPC Scottsdale. We'll come back here to TPC Scottsdale's DraftKings Sportsbook, where all the action will be. Will and I will be back on the PGA Tour Live Betcast Thursday and Friday here live from the kiosks at TPC Scottsdale to give you some more ins and outs, some more trends of betting, of how you can make bets this week at the WM Phoenix Open. It was fun today. It's going to be fun all week, and we're cruising to the finish.
Yes, it's a big week with our friends at DraftKings here. We're excited to kick off the Betcast, first of 12 events this year that we're going to have wall-to-wall coverage, and having some hits from the sportsbook this week to help amplify coverage is going to be fun. We got a little bit of boots on the ground options with our friends back at PGA Tour Studios. Before I let you go, Chris, I need to get your take. Are you running to the kiosk in the Scheffler made cut market, minus 2,800, minus 2,800 to make the cut? You got to bet $28 to win $1. Maybe you can compare that to your 401k return for this week, but that is quite a steep hill to climb.
Just to comp that, just to show you how ridiculous this market is, we had DraftKings give us the numbers on what would be comparable for the Super Bowl this coming weekend. It was Drake May and Sam Darnold. What?
Either one to throw for 175 yards. That's what we're looking at.
Either quarterback to throw for 175 yards is the same as Scottie Scheffler missing the cut. I'm not going to do that.
He'll be here this weekend.